Hello, hello. I am the Name Raider. I'm here to rate the name of your Pokemons. No, my name is Klein Wong. It's the Fightcraft Podcast. And, man, tell you what, the political landscape in America has affected me personally because I've been very busy lately with my regular job. If you can believe it, I'm not a podcaster for 25 people full-time. Isn't that crazy? Damn, man, we got a lot to get to. There's a lot of news that wasn't exactly fight results. Of course, we will get to the fight results as well. In this past weekend, Israel Adesanya losing in the second round to Nasruddin Imavov over in, I want to say, Saudi Arabia? That fucking place. Anyways, yeah, if you're here, if you're watching, if you're hearing my voice, if the void is occupied by you and you hear my decibels echoing into it, well then thank you. Welcome. We are here to talk some shit. First thing that I have to get to is a little bit of breaking news. If you care, I'm not sure it's too breaking, but we have a removal from the UFC roster. That's right, everybody's favorite biggie boy, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, has been removed from the UFC roster following his loss to Sergey Pavlovich, being brought to you from a lot of MMA news outlets, but I got this image up from Combat Casuals at combat_casuals on X. Go ahead and follow them. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Dana White not happy with his performance against Pavlovich. Rozenstruik, walking papers. Get the fuck out of here. Have fun driving Uber. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised by this one. Not necessarily like I was a huge Biggie Boy fan, but I just thought that, Homeboy seemed to be one of the faces of the heavyweight division, right? If you had to list out a top 10 heavyweights in the UFC, people would probably be putting Derek Lewis in there still and not Rozenstruik. And, looking at his last few fights here, if we may, not the worst run, right? I mean, beat Chris Daukaus, lost to Almeida. Okay, Jailton Almeida having somewhat of a surge right now. Gaziev, he won. To Ivasa, he won by split decision, and then a loss to Sergey Pavlovich. Let's expand this record here and see who else he's fought. I mean, he has fought the who's who of the heavyweight division. It's just that he's lost to all of the who's who. I'm a Tied to Ivasa fan, so I am gonna go ahead and exclude that one given his performances as of late. Lost to Francis Ngannou. He beat the ghost of Junior Dos Santos. Lost to Gane. Lost to Blades. Lost to Volkov. Lost to Almeida. And lost now to Pavlovich. So, I mean, I can understand the UFC's thinking where, okay, this guy's probably not going to be a title holder anytime soon, which is also something you should take with a grain of salt here. Because, I mean, how many resurgences have we seen in this sport? But Dana White, I believe, really just not happy with the performance of Mr. Rozenstruik here. So, yeah, have fun in GFL. Moving on from, I don't really have much to say about that one. Moving on from that one, I wanted to get to some news that broke last week that made me laugh because it's just MMA in a nutshell. I mean, is it not the most MMA thing in the world to have a guy supporting just Nazi fascist fucking values, shall we say, and just unabashedly too, right? I mean, like, we all remember like Andrea KGB Lee, in the corner, her like husband / coach, because that's a trend in women's MMA, is fucking, he has like, the Nazi symbol tattooed onto him, and they're like, oh no, it's because he was in prison, 20 years ago. Like, yeah. Those can get covered up for free by a lot of studios, or, you just wear a shirt and don't show those on national television. But we got a new one for the ranks, fellas. We got Bryce Mitchell, and I know I'm late to the party on this, but Bryce Mitchell coming out and telling us Hitler was actually a pretty good guy. He fought for his country, okay? And there were trans people in that country. Put two and two together. Bryce Mitchell with maybe the stupidest take ever on anything related to World War II. So dumb, in fact, that UFC president Dana White came out and condemned it. Usually guys say some like off-color things. I'm thinking of like Matt Mitrione kind of like bashing Fallon Fox, and Dana White kind of being like, yeah, well, I can't control him, but we'll make him issue an apology, or some of these guys coming out with a couple of, Colby Covington calls all of Brazil filthy animals. Hey, he's just selling pay-per-views, which I agree he is. It's not exactly the most inflammatory thing, albeit a little bit tasteless. But Bryce Mitchell here, and I wanted to go ahead and play the video for you. The video comes from the Arkansanity podcast. Go ahead and check them out. But Bryce Mitchell making his case for why Hitler was a good guy. Let's go ahead and take a little listen here if we can.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. The books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
But what about?
I mean, I stand by my my Durain Miller Salty Hater of the Year award going to Bryce Mitchell, because what a fucking dumbass. I mean, dude, first off, how he starts off the quote, the books that everyone makes fun of Hitler for burning? Bro, I don't think they're like roasting him for the act of burning books. You know what I mean? They're kind of just being like, yeah, what a fucking asshole. Dude was burning books for no... Dude. And also, like, could it be more obvious that my man was over here in Reddit, deep in the threads of Reddit, getting his information from clownpenis.butthole fucking 224 on Reddit? I mean, holy shit, dude. I have to give this dude a preemptive Salty Hater of the Year award for 2025. This dude is fucking wrecking the curve at breakneck speeds. Random pivot into like trans like I don't know, man. I am not a World War II historian, but I would venture to guess that that's not exactly true. I mean, if there were 5 people who were trans, or what we call trans, in the modern day, back in 1942, I would be utterly shocked. Bryce Mitchell proving that he is an absolute dumbass. I mean, must I remind you of like the seatbelt thing? The seatbelt thing also not being the worst argument, right? He started off really strong on that. If you remember, he was at a press conference and he had like this controversial take on why he doesn't wear a seatbelt. And he was like, look, I know seatbelts save lives. I'm paraphrasing here. Look, I know seatbelts save lives, but who is the government to tell me I have to wear one? That's actually kind of a based idea. And he'd stopped right there. That would have been fine. But my man launches into, yeah, because what if I ever need to jump out of my moving vehicle? Don't worry, I strap my baby in. Bro, by your own logic, say that does happen. You're going to jump out of a moving vehicle without your baby? Or are you going to like... in your mind, take the time to unhook your baby and then tuck and roll? What the fuck is happening here? What is going on? Thought Hitler was a bad guy? Think again. Dude, the absolute biggest dumbass of the year award. Let's go ahead and hear what Uncle Dana has to say about this one. He was just out here trying to get a little drunk and watch some guys slap each other for money for, a sandwich. But here we go.
Get started here. Let me get some fucking dumb shit out of the way first here. I'm out here, have fun doing Power Slap tonight. And I'm sure you guys heard what Bryce Mitchell said. If you haven't, said some probably, I've heard a lot of dumb, ignorant shit in my day, but this one's probably the worst. When you talk about Hitler, he was responsible for the death of 6 million Jews, and he tried to completely eliminate a race of people. World War II was the deadliest war in history. 15 million military deaths, 45 million civilians, and 25 million soldiers were killed in World War II. Second of all, Hitler is one of the most disgusting.
You can tell Dana White is sitting here like, I guess it's better than being asked about fighter pay. Oh my God, dude. I mean, the fact that you can tell by the look on his face, he's like, I can't believe I have to sit here and give a history lesson because I have to run as slowly as the slowest moving person on my roster. And that is, unfortunately, Bryce Mitchell.
And evil human beings that ever walk the face of the earth. And anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet and social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb, ignorant people. We've obviously reached out to Bryce, and when we read what he said and let him know how we feel about it, I don't even, we're beyond disgusted. So, for those of you that don't know what's going on, good, you're lucky.
I mean, dude, what a hilarious fucking turn of events, right? Dana White also, by the way, like, you hear he dropped 6 million as the number? There was some thought that Dana White was like this ultra far right, you know, deep Reddit fucking like YouTube library kind of guy. And no, I mean, the dude's actually out here spitting facts and just like, this is, I mean, I was shocked at first, and then I realized that I wasn't shocked at all, and then I was just thoroughly amused because, like, I don't think Bryce Mitchell's the type of fighter that anyone really like looks up to, and he's kind of like a, you know, usually the butt of the joke in the MMA community. He came onto the scene with an awesome twister submission in the UFC, and then like has only plummeted his own stock from there. I mean, one of the funniest fucking things in the world, Bryce Mitchell issuing an apology. I'm sorry I sounded insensitive. I definitely was not trying to offend anybody, but I know I did. I think that a lot of people died in the Holocaust, or I know that a lot of people died in the Holocaust, and that's a fact. Hitler did a lot of evil things. I think we can all agree on that. I'm definitely not a Nazi, and I definitely do not condone any of the evil things Hitler did. Imagine being at a point in your life where you have to issue that statement. I'll tell you what, my rock bottom in terms of embarrassment goes to a lot of places, right? Being caught air guitaring in public, my girl walking in on me while I'm watching a Mackenzie Dern fight, fucking any number of things, right? People seeing me like mouth kiss my dog, any number of things. But I don't think apologizing for saying Hitler was a good guy was even remotely on my radar as far as things that one can be embarrassed about and have to apologize for. So that's all I wanted from the news right there. That, I think that pretty much says it all right there. Fucking Bryce Mitchell, dude, our donkey dumbass of the week. Let's get to the fucking Saudi Arabia card here if we can. Okay, some quick results here. Bogdan Grad won. I did not think he was going to win, so good on him. Hamdi Abdullah, Jasmine Josdovicius. It's a pretty good fight against Myra Bueno Silva. I think I had Silva in that one, so that was pretty good. Terrence McKinney with a great knockout in round one. Go ahead and rewatch that. I'm loving the Terrence McKinney, the Terrence McKinney train that he's on right now. Let's I do want to take a look at his profile here, if I may, real quick. We just want to get an idea of what this motherfucker has to say in terms of his placement in the UFC. Terrence McKinney. Oh, is it spelled with an A? Terrence Here we go. Terrence McKinney. Let's take a look at this young man fighting at 155 pounds, coming back from a Rebovix loss and getting that first-round KO. I mean, the dude's 3-2 in his last 5, but all of his wins come by way of knockout in the first round. I mean, that's a pretty good. That's definitely what the UFC wants to see, I would say. I'd like to see if Terrence McKinney is ranked here. Terrence McKinney not ranked at lightweight. Man, lightweight's a hard division to get into, huh? Into the lightweight rankings. Shamil Gaziev won. I had a feeling he would. Don't know who either one of those guys were. Heard it was a good fight. Got up to let my dog out during that one. Sure as I am. A lot of hype behind this guy. Said Nurmagomedov losing to Vinicius Oliveira. I mean, is the Nurmagomedov curse broken? Maybe. Sergey Pavlovich winning over Jairzinho Rozenstruik in a 5-round heavyweight fight. I mean, few things worse than watching a heavyweight fight go to decision. Am I right? This one was very interesting. Bullet Magomedov defeating Michael Page, or losing to Michael Page, rather, via decision. Michael Page said after the first round that he pretty much knew Bullet had nothing for him. I had a feeling Michael Page was going to win leading up to this, but it was one of those things that I wasn't, obviously, I am never 100% certain about my picks in MMA. I've been a fan for too long. I've seen too much weird shit happen. But there's something about Magomedov in the boxing exchanges and the boxing entries that he allows on him that I thought Michael Page might have the edge on. They both had excellent Muay Thai, great use of all 8 limbs. But in terms of like fighting in close range and then more importantly seeing the entries, I mean, the guy has one eye, right? We can all agree that's kind of fucking weird. But Michael Page, a very good boxing in terms of MMA, and able to come out and get the decision. I think people were disappointed that it wasn't a finish, but Michael Page is getting on. He's got some miles on him. The cool thing about Michael Page is that he fought tomato cans for the first 2/3 of his career before coming over to the UFC. Before Douglas Lima took his soul. Y'all remember that one? That spooky fucking leg kick that threw Michael Page off balance, and then he just caught a hook. And, of course, the main event, Israel Adesanya losing to Nasruddin Imavov. A lot of the storyline coming out of this has been on Adesanya. Is he washed? Is he done? I don't think he's done. I don't think he's washed, per se, but I do think the sun has set on him. Maybe a move to light heavyweight. That division's a little bit lacking, but I think that he could make some noise up there. But, I mean, to what avail, right? He's already got his legacy intact, as it were. And Nasruddin Imavov here really showing his quality in terms of what he's able to bring to the welterweight division, rather. And would like to see who he might be moving up to fight here at welterweight. I meant middleweight, of course. Middleweight division, of course. Nasruddin Imavov was ranked number 6 this morning and is now coming up at number 5, I believe. Or no. He was ranked at 5 this morning. So they haven't updated the rankings just yet. Israel Adesanya still sitting at number 2. Robert Whittaker coming off of that loss from Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland fighting for the middleweight title against this man, Dricus du Plessis, this Saturday, actually. You got to think Whittaker moves up. You got to think Khamzat moves up to 2. Whittaker gets bumped down. Adesanya at 4, and then Nasruddin Imavov maybe at 3, I would say. I think both men could use a top contender fight. And I think that Khamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Imavov would be a fantastic fight for as long as it lasts. I do have Khamzat Chimaev in that. I think I have Khamzat Chimaev over everybody at middleweight at this point. Maybe Dricus du Plessis could beat him because he brings this sort of chaos and this, shall I say it, retard strength to the table. And, excellent power, interesting finishing ability both on the feet and on the ground, and I think underrated jiu-jitsu. Not exactly the best jiu-jitsu, but I think definitely underrated. Not enough to really stifle Khamzat Chimaev for the whole fight, but maybe stuff those first few shots and be able to return fire upon breaking the clinch or sprawling on Chimaev. So I'm wondering what that might look like. But before then, he's got to get through Sean Strickland. I think Khamzat versus Imavov is a great fight. I think also if Khamzat waited, which he probably will, the dude's fought once a year for the past couple of years. I think that Khamzat Chimaev just wants to sit out for his title shot, and I don't blame him, though. As a fan, I would like to see him. Nasruddin Imavov, if he doesn't fight Khamzat Chimaev, he could fight the loser of this weekend's middleweight bout if Khamzat is going to be given the next title shot against either Strickland or Duplessis. And Imavov could fight Marvin Vettori or Caio Borralho. I think Caio Borralho is due for a fight. Marvin Vettori having sat out in the wings. I just don't think Marvin Vettori really has it. I don't think he's going to be the right test. I would put him more in the category of a Adesanya or a Whittaker, not in terms of the fight caliber, or the fight craft, but in terms of the generation, shall we say, that he comes from. He's like from 3 seasons. He's from season 2 of UFC middleweight post-COVID. I think Imavov would make more of a statement fighting a contender like Borralho, or he fought Brandon Allen, he fought Dolidze. Yeah, the only way to go is up unless he wants to fight one guy below him. I think Imavov would be smart to call out Chimaev, and make Chimaev fight again, right? Like, this guy fights once a year. He has random mishaps with weight and pulling out and all this shit. Like, make him fight again. Or, as a fan who just likes some junk food, just give him the title fight. But Imavov showing great accuracy, great timing, an ability to capitalize on Israel Adesanya's mistakes, right? That whole City kickboxing team, what do? They kind of lean back as they retreat. I saw a side-by-side of Volkanovski getting hit by Topuria, or maybe it was actually, I think it was Makhachev, Volkanovski in his loss to Makhachev, and Israel Adesanya with his loss to Imavov here. Both men leaning back and kind of fading away, and not compensating for the fact that his opponents would see that, calculate it, and then capitalize it by overcommitting to the punch. And then, turns out overcommitting was committing just enough for Nasruddin Imavov. So that was a great performance by him, and I do hope that we get to see this man fighting for the title soon. Or fighting a number 1 contender for Khamzat Chimaev. I got to get to Conor McGregor real quick. So a little bit of news from last week. Conor McGregor in hot water for dropping the N-bomb on Twitter, or X rather. I don't want to dead name X. And, can we say Conor McGregor has fallen from grace now? It sucks because I was a huge McGregor fan myself, especially him coming up at his 145 run, and then really kind of like becoming an actual fan once he took the title from Eddie Alvarez. Although, how sweet was it for me as a Diaz fan to see Nate Diaz strangle this man and then drop one of the best post-fight interview lines of all time. Conor McGregor, 15 minutes I done, Aldo. 15 seconds. Show your wife, nip boop. Show your kids, nip boop. Cousin fucking motherfucking hiding motherfucker. Show us you and your cousin's kids together because we have kids here in Ireland that want to smoke them in competition. Are they competing or what? Are you? And I don't have the rest of the tweet. I really don't think I need to even go into it anymore. And then this being said on Khabib Nurmagomedov's marriage date a few years ago. Your wife is a towel mate, of course, insulting Khabib's religion in that the women do not show their face, basically kind of saving that for their husbands, I believe. And I think McGregor just, showing his ass here in an absolutely coked out display at Bare Knuckle over the weekend as well when Jeremy Stevens fought, and just wildly chaotic and high energy, but nowhere to go with it. It was weird. You're seeing... we're living through the fall of Conor McGregor right now. It's kind of crazy to see. The fall is not as interesting as the rise, I must say. And usually the fall is pretty interesting. The fall, not as interesting as the rise. Conor McGregor, coming off of that sexual assault trial, and that was a civil trial, of course, that he lost. And he has to pay out money to the victim. He asserts that the full evidence was not taken into account and that he's going to come back from it. Sponsors dropping him was serious enough for that. At the very least, his legacy tarnished, right? A lot more people from Ireland coming out and just openly being like, yeah, we don't really like McGregor here. Not really sure. And then, of course, most recently, this past weekend, Conor McGregor spitting in the face of a fan who says, "Let's go Khabibs." spitting in the face here. In fact, why don't we get I'll get a little bit of audio on this, and we'll watch the whole thing together. I have not seen it, and so this will be interesting for me. We'll go ahead and minimize that, and let's take a look. I have not seen this interaction yet.
McGregor, can I get a picture? I spit in your face, what you do? Nothing. I spit in your face, you do nothing.
The audio of him spitting there actually sounded like it was inserted after the fact. Like, it didn't sound like it was genuine audio. It didn't match like the room tone. But then dude says it right after. I spit in your face. What are you going to do? Let's watch it again.
I spit in your face, what you do? Nothing.
Well, there you have it, folks. Conor McGregor, not the friendliest of people, but don't worry, because Conor McGregor, playing all the right notes for conservative Ireland to hear, it sounds like he's gearing up towards a political run. Seems to be a trend with fighters. Genki Sudo, Manny Pacquiao, the great Mark Wayne Mullen, moving into politics after fighting. It's kind of wild. I guess there's some kind of I guess there's some kind of like a immigrant crisis in Ireland, similar to how there is in the U.S. right now. This is wild. The lack of action for the many families in these power out situations across the country. It's going off of the infrastructure. And I saw another tweet earlier. State-owned accommodation to house asylum seekers. That's what it was. Over 50,000 asylum seekers to need housing by 2026 over in Ireland. The destruction of Ireland will have dire consequences for those at its helm, says McGregor. A weird turn of events here. Conor McGregor is probably going to move into politics. He was at President Trump's inauguration. He seems to be striking the political and social issues in his country, and he seems to, he's stated that he wants to, run for prime minister or whatever Ireland has. Doesn't Ireland have a king? I don't know. I'm kidding, obviously. But a weird, I think he's got to get a lot of things sorted out before then. His public image is not the best right now. He's got supposedly, I think he's trying to go to a retrial for this civil suit, and he says that he wants to fight again, whether that's celebrity boxing with one of the Paul brothers or KSI, or in fact we are going to get a fight with Michael Chandler. I don't know, but there seems to be a lot going on with Conor McGregor, and none of it seems to be good, that's for sure. So we'll have to take a look at that and see how it goes kind of in the coming weeks. We'll give a brief, let's take a look at this card here for this Saturday, February 8th. Couple of guys coming back, couple of interesting fights. Prelims, not a lot of name value on the prelims. Kevin Joussette's back. Wang Kong is back after getting embarrassed in that previous fight a couple months ago. Okay. Prelims look kind of weak. The main card is not the strongest. Especially for a pay-per-view, but it has sleeper action value on it. What does that mean? That means when we have a card and, you hear on Monday morning all the fucking dumbass armchair experts on X fancying themselves real fight fans when they are in fact casuals. Oh, it's the ones that you never expect that always deliver the best. It's not. I can name you plenty of UFC fight cards where the name value delivered, and when there was no name value, it didn't deliver. UFC Brooklyn with Chris Cyborg, anybody? I digress. But this one, while it may not have a lot of name value to the casual audience or the MMA audience writ large, there is a lot of potential for this. Number one case in point, Jake Matthews coming up against Francisco Prado. I love Jake Matthews. I think he's a great fighter. Has not lived up to his hype from years ago, but he delivers excellent fights, and I'm excited for this one. Jimmy Crute is back. We love some Jimmy Crute. Not sure about Rodolfo Bellato, but Jimmy Crute is going to come to fight, win or lose. Justin Tafa, a Kiwi favorite. not exactly my favorite, but we're gonna see how he works in. And then Zhang Weili, Zhang Dynasty is back, baby. Zhang is back against Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana Suarez has a great shot here to beat the champion. She has a legit record under her. She has legit experience. Coming off of a submission win against Andrade, future Hall of Famer Andrade, mind you. I'll fucking go to the fucking teeth on that one. Suarez versus De La Rosa, another submission win, and then a decision win over Nina Ansaroff, now Nina Nunes. That's going to be a great fight, and I am excited for it. It's going to be an interesting one. Zhang Weili has not fought since her previous bout against Yan Xiaonan in April of 2024. So almost a year out from her previous fight. I'm going to be really excited to see what she's got. And then before that, she's been fighting once a year as well, kind of like Chimaev. And I think this is going to be a good fight, a good women's fight for however long it lasts. I think there's a chance it could be a snoozer with Suarez coming in and kind of like ragdolling Zhang Weili. But Zhang Weili is a unit. She has all of the fucking chemicals of the Chinese Communist Party behind her and coursing through her veins, and she may well just deliver another knockout. Girl's got bricks in her hands, and she throws with bad intentions. And, of course, we have the main event, Sean Strickland versus Duplessis. I have Duplessis in this, and I'm going to give a full breakdown, possibly with Durain on Thursday of this week to come out Friday, but we'll see. I mean, Sean Strickland, I don't know what he's going to have done to have improved. Certainly at 35 fights, we've seen bouts of improvement, but I don't know if he has what it takes. Dricus Duplessis is getting that little bump in skill and in quality that you get when you become a champion, and like Robbie Lawler had it. He kind of became champion with some people call it a lackluster performance against Johnny Hendricks. I think it was just because there wasn't a finish. But then upping the game with Rory McDonald and Carlos Condit, giving us two of the most incredible fights in UFC history. I think Dricus Duplessis is getting that bump where it's like you become the champion and this fire is lit up under your ass and you're like, I got to get fucking better. And that's all he can obsess about. And I think he knows that Khamzat Chimaev is on the horizon. He knows that middleweight is full of contenders. They're cleaning out the old dogs, right? What do I always say? MMA feeds the old to the young. And I think that certainly with Dricus Duplessis, we've seen that, right? His defeat of Robert Whittaker, and I'm really excited for this fight. I really am. And I got to head out of here now, so go ahead and look to have this up in the week, and hopefully another breakdown with our good friend Durain Miller, friend of the show. Find me on X, on Instagram, if that's your jam, @KleinWong_. And please like, subscribe to the podcast, right? Fightcraft Podcast. We're trying to be consistent. We're trying to do some more stuff, and we're trying to get some good guests on this show. And I think it'll be good to have John Ortolani, my coach, come on the show and kind of talk some fights, talk about maybe some things that he has coming up, and see what we can get in there. So until then, my friends, go train. Go train. Go train.